Hi, invisible people. Darkness is democratic. Everyone looks beautiful in the dark. And you beautiful people, travel with me, time travel, 1968, September 18th, 11 p.m., in a village. America calls Westwood Village. The village I came from is the village. But however, I am walking up a hill. It's 15 days since I came to America. I am ostensibly living, sharing an apartment with somebody there, but I'm actually living in seventh heaven. Bliss was in that dawn to be alive, but to be young was very heaven. I was 27, so a little young, but I just was absolutely thrilled that I was in America, in a graduate school, and at that moment, with these midnight dreams, suddenly I hear a noise, very exciting noise. Two LAPD cars zoom in one like this and one like this. And I recognize from my study of Second World War history that's called pincer movement. You cannot escape. I am 5 feet 4.5 inches and 110 pounds, and two men emerge. I'm only loosely describing them as men, but they were giants. I think they were 8 foot 3 inches each. And they are dressed in the Hollywood's finest LAPD thing, and they have their hands here. I know that. This is called holster. I've read that. And they walk towards me, and I'm so fascinated by this. I walk towards them to greet. They said, "Hold. ID. Your ID?" And I have a bag hanging from India. All my life's possessions are there. And I begin to take out, and he said, no, I am going to do that. So one of the cops moves to me, overshadowing me from there, and takes my bag and begins to rummage. In the meanwhile, the other gentleman walks up and says, "What are you doing here, walking alone at this time of the night?" You know, I thought maybe it's illegal in America to walk after 11 p.m. alone, because the sum total of my legal knowledge is from the midnight reruns of Perry Mason on a black and white TV, and in a friend's place too. So I say, "Officer," when I'm terrified, I babble. I said, "Officer," because it's very courteous. My birthday was celebrated by my new friends in my graduate school department, and I'm walking back from my birthday, and he says, the man who is rummaging the bag looks up and says, and he has something in the hand. "You are sure this is your birthday?" I'm a little offended. I said, "Officer, I should know my birthday. Of course it is." He says, I see, because this says something else. It's my student ID. And he says, you have to pick one. Either one will land you in a place that you may not want to be. You see, this says May 18th, 1941, and you are saying today was your birthday. Can we pick one of these, because either you're lying here or you're lying here, so it doesn't make any difference. I suddenly realized what has happened. When I was born, it's a small village in India. We went to the nearest town, and it was Second World War. It was British Raj. They said we deliver babies, not deliver birth certificates. You're born, go, take them away. I had never needed a piece of paper to say that I'm alive till this moment. And So I begin to explain to him, officer, what has happened is during British Raj, he says, I do not want history lessons. And then he says, he picks out a picture. Who is this? I am very glad. I say, oh, that's my eldest brother. His name is Chinana. He begins to involuntarily say, Che. He says, no. In our language, Chi as in child or something, and Na, the tongue goes, he says, I do not need linguistics lessons also. He then asks, where do you live? By then, I am in a snake and ladder thing, I'm down here, pat. I say, there, point out. It's a posh building, 15 stories. He says, man, are you kidding me? That's the rich people's dorm. I then understand. You see, I am dressed in Army and Navy clothing, Civil War handouts. So, I know, he says, okay, here is what I'll tell you. You take us to, and he says, oh, you live by yourself? I said, no. I share the apartment with the director. Harold is a graduate student, and he told me if I can teach him open systems theory, he will let me share the apartment. Honest to God, sure. And he says, open system. Oh, I say, it's fascinating, officer. He says, I don't want that too. By now, poor fellow, he's losing his patience. So he says, show us Harold. If, Harold, you're not living there, we will provide you alternative accommodation. And he takes out a pair of cuffs. I tell you, I'm a movie buff, and one part of me is thrilled that I have a big part here. I mean, a story to tell so many years later when I'm 84, but at that moment I am scared. And we are walking like two Egyptian gods protecting a little pharaoh. And we go to the lobby, and Harold lives on 15th floor. And we get into the elevator, and then my heart really sank. I don't have a key. If Harold is out with his girlfriend, and they happen to do this kind of thing often, I am sad. So I pray, and then when we go to the door, I scream at the highest level, Harold, there are officers of LAPD who want to see your apartment. Why am I screaming? This is 1968, Southern California, and Harold is a connoisseur of various enlightening substances. And the least I could do is not to get him as my cellmate there. So, officers cannot do anything about my voice level. They can think some Indian idiosyncrasy, hippie here. And then, after what seemed like several years, but probably a few moments, Harold comes out. Harold, in contrast to me, who is brown and this high, Harold is that high. He is white with a respectable paunch, and he is in an excellent dressing gown. He comes out and he takes in the situation and says, officers, thank you very much for bringing our professor back. Professor, I'm just a graduate student. Doc, I was so worried. No, Doc, it was several years later. And he then says, gentlemen, the Chancellor will be very happy to know that you protected our professor and brought back. Thank you. And he pulls me, pushes the door. As I entered in, I saw the looks of such disappointment on their face. Even the handcuffs seemed to hang down. We went in, And then rest of the night, we discussed the implications of open system theory with some enlightening substances helping the conversation.